Hey everyone, it's Tracy Una Wagner with Versatile Inspirations, and thank you for joining me today. Just take a nice deep breath and hold it for a second and then release it. It's good to stop every once in a while and take a breath. It really helps to just kind of center ourselves. It helps to actually ground and just bring us back to the present. Thank you again for joining me. We're going to be talking today about reconnecting with your soul self. This is such an important topic to me because I think it really all comes down to coming back to ourself. There was a major shift on December 21st, 2012. It was foretold by the Mayans and actually quite a few other places you can see where 2012 was actually a very important time for the planet, for the humans on the planet and the world at large. There's been major shifts going on, and some people see it as chaos and change. But what's really happening is our thoughts and our minds are changing at a rapid pace. We can see this in technology, especially. People are coming back to just advancements in a rapid sort of way. Now, from doing research and just having a really inner knowing of feeling that this is where, at least from history standpoint, seeing the Atlanteans and the Lemurians or the Muse actually had this kind of technology and even more technology than what we have today. But it was destroyed. And there are many different theories on how it was destroyed, and there's many different theories on where the people went. Were they all destroyed? Did some of them get precognitions on that this major change was going to happen and they left their homes? And from the research that I've done and just an inner feeling like that's what happened, it feels like they just kind of dispersed to different areas, whether it was Egypt and sharing their knowledge with Egyptians and going over to places like the South, the like Asian areas, or going over into African areas, things of this sort, and sharing their knowledge. They pretty much just went where probably they felt they needed to go, where they were led. And because they shared their knowledge with the Egyptians and African tribes and Asian peoples and tribes and cultures, different cultures have accepted these things. Now with the Mayans, they had their own way of the precognitions, or being able to put things down. And we were able to gather some information and on the calendar that was found, and December 21st, 2012 was what scientists came up with the number. That whole year seemed to be a matter of change. Even in 1999, going from 1999 to 2000, that was a major change as well. People were very scared. They were worried that the technology that we'd come to know and love was going to just evaporate, but it didn't. With all of this, it's very important to come back to self. Because all this change and all of these, those, and that's that are coming out, driverless cars, smaller computers, my gosh, you can hold them in your hand now. And even smaller than that, there's just so much technology and so many things that are out there now that sometimes that's the chaos that is in our world. When we come back to center, that's where it can be calm. We can be centered. We can be grounded. We can have that connection to where we are so connected with the divine that we truly know ourselves. We truly know who we are, what we're meant to do, and how we're meant to go about that. We also get divine help. We get help from spirit because we are connected. And just, I mean, that's why it's so important to me to teach, because our soul self is always connected, not only with us in our physical being, but also in our spirit being, which is in spirit still. By being able to come in and reconnect, we're able to calm that chaos. We're able to calm the distractions of everyday life. We're able to get the answers that we know. We're able to create our own self, our own guru, if you might. We're able to be ourself, our unique, authentic being, the one that we know that is here to do the work that we need to do. Oops, sorry about that. That was Kitty Rawl. And we're able to know what we need to do for the future. But the most important is to be able to come in and just to be. And how we reconnect is very easy. You can do it as easily as thinking to yourself, just breathe. By acknowledging that you are needing to breathe, by acknowledging that you are in this being right now, being aware of breathing, just breathing, you're able to come back to yourself. You're able to come back to center. You're able to come back to just your being. Where I've seen on countless people where there seems to be a spark associated with our soul self. And it's in that heart chakra area in our chest. It's in the area of between the heart and the thymus chakras, which the thymus is right on top of the heart chakra. And it's kind of in that area, which seems perfect to me because it's halfway between heaven and earth. And it just seems to be that middle point. And when I started studying the soul self on myself and others, this is that area. Now, some are not necessarily smaller, but when we're outside of our being and we are very aware of the outside world, it seems to be smaller. It seems to be almost not just a pinprick of a light, but it's just more compact, I should say. Now, when we go inside and we're meditating, or we are concentrating on a book, or we're concentrating on our being, ourself, it expands. And it keeps expanding and it keeps expanding. And it can be just embodying that whole area of the chest area. And it starts out as a pinprick, but then as it grows, it gets more like an aura, more like just a fuzzy white looking to it. But this happens due to us going within and really concentrating on improving our mind, body, soul, and spirit. with that, whether it's meditating, whether it's doing exercise, whether it's going within and just reading a educational book, a self-help book, something that makes us happy, something that propels us forward in our thought, it has more of an awakening to it. And so it expands, and our soul self is tied, and in my mind's eye, and you see where it's tethered with our spirit self, which our spirit self is still in spirit. So that connection, when it grows, it's able to be closer to the spirit self, and you're able to get those divine downloads. You're able to get the help more from our spirit guides, from angels, from ascended masters, from ancestors, from any spirit world being of light in any dimension at any time, from anywhere, time or space. With that, we are able to grow exponentially. Now, I talk about the Mayans and the 2012. It seems to be before that, people were just in the Western area, were just learning about Eastern philosophies and things, and chakras and meditation and yoga and things like that were starting to become more mainstream, starting to be recognized as something. But there was still some controversy and some almost taboo thoughts towards them, because people thought they were religions and thought that you need to be religious in order for it to be right. And by going and doing yoga or going and meditating or doing things like that, you were sacrificing everything else to become a Buddhist or to be going into the yogic community, anything like that. But with more of the awakening towards the internal chakras, people talk about it. There was that awakening in 1999, that going into 2000, that allowed for people to say, I hear about this all the time. Maybe I should look into it. But there was a little bit of doubt still. Once we got into 2012 and we started moving through that, and right as we started transitioning into 2013, we started seeing people be more aggressive about learning about them. There was more books. Oh my gosh, you can just go to the bookstore, any bookstore, and probably see something on chakras or meditation or chakras meditations or spirituality, self-help. These kinds of things really started blossoming. There was lots of conferences and workshops and things going on that people were craving because they wanted more knowledge about this. And so people would go out and actively want to participate because it made them feel good, because it made them learn. It made them connect with that spirit self. But more so, it made them reconnect with their soul self. Now, as we start to move faster and faster and faster, and you probably feel it as well, the momentum is just amazing. We're starting to get into that view of, okay, so I know my chakras backwards and forwards. I know what they're meant to do. You see more people on TV, even football teams, basketball teams, larger groups of people, even online, not online, well, online too, but in the mainstream media, who are meditating, who are hiring people that do meditation, that do chakra work, energy healing, holistic health is just amazing now. Now you're starting to see where even the oh gosh, not only football teams meditating, but you're also seeing where people are gathering more so to find out how to work with their chakras. Even like workplaces and insurance companies are allowing massage workers massages and in some forms of energy healing as form of going to, kind of like going to the doctor. You can go to a massage therapist, you can go to a holistic practitioner at times for allergies and things like that. So it's widening. It's the consciousness is evolving. Consciousness is just growing by leaps and bounds now. It's just amazing. And a lot of it begins within yourself. Those chakras were internal, from the crown to the base chakra, they're all internal. But as we progress, we're starting to get into a more transpersonal, which is outside of the body, the outer realm of thinking, of being. And what that means is not outside our body as in material forms, but as in more of the spiritual sense outside of our body. So when I started practicing in about 2013, 2014, I started going into, I was drawn to hypnotherapy, and I was drawn to transpersonal coaching. And when I got into the transpersonal coaching, my awareness really blossomed. I really saw, before I'd gone in and I had done a lot of work with the chakras and really learned about them, where they came from, why they work, what they do. I learned about spirit guides. My spiritual awareness grew before, but when I got into the transpersonal, it was not so internal and it was more external. I could see the chakras of our hands and feet. I started being able to see the chakras for anything, trees and businesses, and how we're all connected as far as these chakras. And the soul self was at the core of where it all began for everyone, it seemed. It was the brightest spot within the body that I could see. And there again, in the center of our chest, when it expanded and I started seeing the transpersonal chakras, I understood more where the manifesting came from, where people would see fairies, where people would see unicorns, where people would be helpful to animals and to plants and the environment, where people could access the spirit guides more readily, angels more readily. Things seem to move at a quicker pace. And the Akashic Records was one thing, which is around our soul star. But knowing that when you go to the certain spot, you're able to gather more information. It just seemed like, because my brain is more A to B to C and moving along linear, but I was able to open my consciousness a little more to understand that if I wanted to call on an angel specifically, let's say Archangel Raphael, I can go from my soul self and go within and be able to start at the center point, block out all the external distractions, and raise my consciousness up to that chakra or up to that level of love to where I was able to commune with the spirit realm, which is easy to do because your soul self is always connected with your spirit self. Now, if I wanted to go to the Akashic records to view someone's history, or if I wanted to go in my own Akashic records, then starting from my soul self, I can go to that level, to that area, and be able to access those records. If I wanted to manifest something, I know I can go from my soul self to that level to be able to bring my awareness to a point where I can manifest things. If I want to commune with nature, if I want to be able to get more grounded, I can go down to that area within the earth and be able to access that from starting at my soul self and going through my feet, chakras, down into the earth and be able to ground in that way. And it all begins with your soul self. There again, just by placing your hands over your heart, if you like, if that gives you more of a visual, of a ability to go within, place your hands over your heart, your chest, and by breathing, because that breath goes down into your lung area, which is surrounding that whole area, you're reconnecting with your soul self. Not only that, but you can always talk with your soul self. You can commune with your soul self. You can commune between your soul self and your spirit self, which is still in spirit. It's all tied together. And later I'm going to talk more about the transpersonal chakra system, which is, there again, the transpersonal energy system, and beyond. Consciousness is evolving. We're going to evolve. We're going to evolve what we can see, what we can feel, and what we can know. So just be open and start by going within to your soul self, placing your hands over your heart, taking a deep breath, and maybe visualizing that white, bright, divine light, your soul within yourself. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I so appreciate it. As always, I'm sending you and yours love, light, and eternal blessings. Have a wonderful day.